Hello and welcome to the brand new Singapore circuit here on F1 23. Today's update has altered the track and updated it to the 2023 specification that will be running in the F1 calendar. With that being said, we're doing a last of first challenge straight away with the AI. This is my first laps on this brand new alteration of the circuit. So of course, 95% of the circuit I already know, so that would be easy to get used to. But with the brand new altered Sector 3, I will have to get used to it live in this video while we're trying to overtake this AI and complete this last of first challenge. We're starting on the medium compound tyres, going down the inside of Lance Stroll, and I believe that was Hulkenberg as well. It was indeed already up into P13 actually, as we sneak up the inside of Esteban Ocon. Daniel Ricciardo up ahead of us. Get well soon. Terrible, unfortunate accident in Zandvoort. Can happen to anyone, to be honest. Did the right thing, was trying to avoid Piastri and got unlucky with the way that the angle of the wall hit the steering column of the car. But that being said, we're going up the inside. Bit of a lock-up actually, as we're trying to avoid the back of Perez. Using a bit of battery here down this little bit of a straight. We'll turn into a Dero straight later in the race. This is the brand new part of the track. Whereas before we would turn right here, we are now going straight. Will open up plenty more overtaking opportunities around Singapore, what I think will actually improve the quality of the racing quite a lot, and will actually turn into a very much like a Jeddah situation where... Oh my god. So, getting back to it. But yeah, even I can spin. Stuff happens. We just got a bit too much on the curb, and we used a flashback to get out of jail free card. Actually tapping the back of Perez in turn 1. So this hasn't been the best few corners of my career, that's for sure. Lap 2 here of 15. Need to start dispatching these cars. Of course, we'll have the soft compound tyre later. Will be advantageous. But equally, Perez is on the medium tyres as well, so we need to outbrake him around the outside. He holds it down the inside of us, so we have to leave space. We did leave a car width there, and that is very nicely up into P11. Points paying positions coming up next. We are on the equal car performance setting as well, must be noted. Up ahead, Piastri. I have to say, this... I would say... minorly favours the rookies this year, as everyone will have to learn this part of the track, and we'll probably be going to Singapore with the lowest downforce specification on the cars that we ever have, to be honest, because the difference between having to go through what would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners versus a straight, and low speed corners at that, is monumental difference, considering having this long straight what will be an overtaking opportunity. So there, they will have to take off quite a lot of downforce from the car and sort of manage that element. And I don't think it will be the easiest situation to set up the car around here. And Sector 1, Sector 2 will become even more challenging than it already was. And I think will be a case of like a Baku almost as well. And Jeddah, like I mentioned earlier in the video, where you're of course on a street track, and street track historically requires a high downforce configuration, but with the way that everything probably will unfold here, you'll be leaning more than ever towards a low downforce configuration to sort of help and maximize your straight line speed potential. So I'm really fascinated how this will play out with all the drivers and the teams, of course, when we arrive here later in the season. It's actually not too far away now. It was quite crazy to say, in my opinion, that we're already at the end of August, starting September. This year has flown by. What we do need to fly by is Piastri, though. We're going to look down the inside, try and break Leigh, get the car stopped to avoid that wall on the outside, what's claimed oh so many victims before, and we're up into the top 10 position. I presume everyone ahead of me now is on the soft compound tyres. So their tyres should start to fade away quite a bit. Ooh, that was not the nicest. It's quite weird braking for that corner now. Rear tires are starting to go off as well. I'm going to be taking a few clicks of front wing off the car, going into the pit stop just to have this little bit of oversteer that I'm receiving. You can see the rear just not really properly gripping up to that sequence there. We are back in the DRS zone of Lewis Hamilton though. But it's going to be critical. Lewis has always been so fast around Singapore. Definitely one of his best tracks, and one of his most special laps, in my opinion, is his 2018 pole lap here in Singapore. That is a lap for the ages, and I think the day after and the years after that Lewis Hamilton decides to retire from the sport, or retire from Formula 1 at least, that lap will continue to get more and more praise, like it rightfully should do. As, let's call it, somewhat predicting the future as well, or eyeing up the future, Max Verstappen was only like 3/10 behind Lewis on that day as well. And a handful of years later, of course, they had what is now iconic championship battle in 2018. That was the year I was talking about. 2021, I should be saying. 2018 was the championship battle between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Slightly less iconic in my opinion. Just as intense in the start of the year, but naturally Lewis sort of was able to grab his hand on the trophy as the year progressed. Whereas in 2021, we all know the story. It went down to the wire. But with that being said, we need to start making some serious progress against these soccer runners. Of course, we are going to have the better tyres at the end of the race. What needs to be critical for us. We also need to make sure that we don't burn all of our battery early on in this race. What lap are we due to box? Lap 8. So it is coming up fairly soon. And with that front wing adjustment we should be doing in the pit stop, that should help us get a bit more stability out of the car. Oh, that was a bit cheeky of me. Posed up a bit too much in the braking zone. Luckily, I got away with no damage. Lewis didn't really lose any time either, so I wouldn't call it fair and square, but at least we got away with it. We should be able to get up the inside of Lewis here, though. Bit of a bad exit, but send it and get the job done. I presume it is Lando Norris leading the race. He's only just going into the new back straight. So we still have a very good chance of winning this race, but Singapore always proving to be difficult for the overtaking realm of racing. Coming into the braking zone, starting to brake a bit later, learning how to use his curves a bit better. It seems like you don't really want to use too much of that first curve. You're more looking to sort of brake a bit later, keep the car more stable, and then go on from there. Turn 1, let's try avoiding the curb on this lap. Seems to be a bit better, at least in race trim anyway. It's less about throwing the car around here, sometimes I feel. That was very nice through there. So yeah, we're starting to get the feeling of this circuit. I haven't actually driven Singapore much on this game as well. I might be right in saying that this might be some of my first laps in Singapore in total on this game, even before they changed the new layout. We broke late, and well, we kind of had to avoid the crash, but turned it into an overtake somehow. 7 tenths behind Yuki, 1.3 behind Sainz. Now as their soft tyres are starting to fade away, we're really able to make good strides through the field here. Half a second behind Yuki. We're going to set up for as good of an exit that we can get. So it started at half a second going in, came out at 4 tenths. So yeah, we gained a tenth through there, even with an unideal line, trying to avoid that dirty air coming off the back of the AlphaTauri. I think I need to go down to third there. We have almost pulled a second away from Albon though, so we're reducing the threat from the cars behind quite considerably. It is quite a bumpy braking zone as well, that must be said. Yeah, I think it is better to avoid that first curve. Only to sort of kiss it slightly rather than hit it like I was before early in the race. 100 meter board, DRS closed. Again, graze that first curve, that seems a bit better. Can we go around the outside of Yuki? Trying to hang around the outside. We might actually be able to do this and get past him on this midi straight. Job done. That's what we needed to do. We need to get a good exit to ensure he can't get us back fast in the straight though. Deploy a bit of battery, 7/10 behind Carlos Sainz. And then 3.4 seconds up to the leading pack with just under half this race gone so far. So we're still in a very good chance of winning this race. Still got a long way to go though. A lot of corners to not crash on, as it is so easy to do here in Singapore. But as we progress, we're learning the track more and more, trying to manage that rear tyre slip. 4/10 behind Sainz. Down the gears. Oh, you couldn't see it, but the rear was constantly sliding throughout that corner. It was only just getting into the apex. Right, down the gears, oh so slowly. Right, 4/10. I was thinking about using battery there, but I decided against it. Better to save it for a better opportunity and save the battery also for later in the race when we should, if everything goes to plan, be battling the leading cars. Cars are starting to box. Carlos Sainz in the pit lane anyway. Makes our decision even more worth not using the battery. Right, DRS open, 3 seconds to Charles Leclerc. Can we overcut Carlos Sainz? With those first few corners with the rear sliding, it's going to be very difficult to. Right, let's see what we can do there. We've already taken a good chunk of time away from Charles Leclerc. 3-4 attempts in these first few corners alone. That's kind of to be expected though, as although we are on a harder compound, we have probably got less tyre deg as a result of that. Taking chunks of time away from him. You can see the rear is just gone. I do need to take a few clicks of front wing out of the car and make it more stabilised. And hopefully can manage the soft tyres better than we've been able to manage the mediums. George at the 4, you see struggling for traction. Rear sliding all the way for that apex once again. He was able to make some inroads to Charles, but it wasn't really what I was hoping to make so far. Just didn't have the rear grip, to be honest. We were able to put away from Piastri quite convincingly, as well Charles. So we should have a clear pit lane, or at least a clear pit box, as we're trying to take the rest of the grip out of these tyres. We come flying in. So easy to miss your braking point here and fly off past the pit lane entry. 1 mile an hour we missed the line by. That was quite fortunate. Right, let's see. Was we able to hold anyone up? Probably not. Pit lane in, well, teammates in the pit lane? Oh well. Right, releasing from my pit stop. Carlos Sainz, we were just behind him coming into the pit lane. When he came into the pit lane, I should say. Let's see where we can be when we come out of the pit lane. He's behind us so far, but we've got to go through this slow navigation of pit lane exit. Hard back on the power. It looks like we're going to have the position. Always side by side. Going to have the traction. Job done. That's what we need to do. Lovely. Right. I don't want to use battery down here. I want to save it for later on, but Carlos Sainz might be close enough to challenge. Not quite. Good stuff. We had just about good enough exit. Oh, I might have taken a bit too much front wing off there. That was understeer. We might have to adapt to driving style a little bit more just to compensate for that. That will definitely help our rear tyre. So you can see the front pushing across the track a little bit now. But that will be, I think, more than worth having to save these rear tyres as the stint progresses on. Right, let's send it. Found the gap. Got it done. That's what we need to do on these opening laps on these tyres, especially. Waste no apex. Waste no time. Ooh, that's a bit of a harsh track limit. Right, saving battery down this pit straight. Pit straight, back straight. See now, really getting a bit more confidence to brake later in that corner. Of course, the soft tyres are helping, but that wasn't the main reason. Purple sector 3 with 5 laps to go in the Singapore GP with the brand new layout. Can we go around the outside of Max? Not quite. We do need to get past Max on this straight, though. Well, this next upcoming straight, I should say. He makes a mistake. This is a prime opportunity for deploying as a bit of battery, and he seems not really to be defending this. We're just going to close up the line, and he falls back into position. He sort of goes up the inside anyway. Oh, that was a bit tight. We sort of had to start turning into the corner to minimize time loss to George Russell, and he sort of wasn't backing out of it as well. Typical Max fashion. Really hard racing. Right up behind George. Right, we're just going to manage our tyres through here. Be safe on the tyre, not pressure stress, not wheel spin them. And we're just going to send it up the inside at the hairpin. Oh my god, that was so tight. That was way more tighter than I ever anticipated that to be. Right. 3.4 seconds to Fernando Alonso. Let's see what we can do now. .1. Right. 5.9 seconds to Lando for the race win. Picking up more time. Almost a second away from Russell already. We need to be gaining over 1 second per lap to close into Lando. We have gained 1 second to Lando in what was practically the first sector alone. Right, let's keep up this momentum. Next lap, we might be able to get DRS on Fernando. Have to be careful not to put all of my battery too early. The car's always on the limit here. I love it. 1.8 seconds to Fernando. There's an outside chance of DRS at the end of the first sector. Not quite. Only 4 tenths away though. Yeah, I think avoiding that inside curve is a bit better. We have to ensure that we're close enough to strike at the end of this middle sector though. Okay, good rear tyre wear so far. Right, DRS wide open now. Right, in the slipstream, we can afford to save a little bit of battery. Not that we got much anyway, to be honest. Ooh, a little bit of a wall touch on the exit. It's all getting a bit spicy. 7 tenths away from Fernando. The rest will be wide open. And if we want any chance of catching Lando, we have to get past Fernando on this straight now. The battery is being drained. Fernando goes defensive. We're going to go clean around the outside, late on the brakes. There's a little bit of contact, actually. A bit cheeky of me. we had a little bit of contact Fernando on the apex. So I'm going to quickly highlight and show you this. So riding on board with Fernando. Look, I'm already going to say, it was my fault. But we had to sort of, let's get the third person. It was my fault. I had to squeeze so to sort of minimize time loss and sort of hope that Fernando backed out. So, yeah, it was my fault. You can see I squeezed into the apex. The AI did everything he can to avoid. There was a little bit of contact here, what pushed me a bit wide, but yeah. We're just going to be very cheeky and hold this position. Yeah, we're going to be quite cheeky and hold the position. I'm sorry, Fernando. Maybe another day we'll let you back past, but we've got Mr. Lando Norris to catch. Ooh, that was a bit of oversteer. Right, 2.3. If we can get in that DRS, that'd be critical. He's putting away already on the straight. Definitely not a good sign for us. Right, 2.2. It's going to be very difficult. The rear tyres are now starting to fade away. .9. This is going to be a cracking middle sector to have any chance. But we're going to send it anyway. Big front lockup, actually. .8 seconds, 1.2 to Fernando. So we're able to drop him quite convincingly. Wheel spin. Yeah, the middle sector is as good as it's going to get. For these tyres anyway. 1.8. We're not going to give up though. We still have an outside chance. Maybe he'll make a mistake. .5. Come on. We can do this. Not going to pick up DRS on this straight. Oh, that was a wall tap. We're giving everything for performance right now. .2, we have to get the DRS. We didn't. Lando was able to pull away in that section even. Ah, was too high on the gear. 1.4, 1.5. Yeah, Lando is deploying all of his battery now. There's not really much we can do about it. We got close. We tried. We pushed. We avoided contact with the wall, what was also important. But this has been the brand new Singapore track. Lando Norris took the dub. We went from last, the P2, with a questionable move on Fernando Alonso. But let me know down below, do you think this brand new track will assist racing, help racing? I personally think it will, although I very much love that tight, technical, twisting section going underneath the grandstand as well. I think it was so iconic. I think this is a much better compromise to allow Singapore to be a raceable, enjoyable, and advertising friendly to help increase the viewership of Formula One. And
Let's focus on the
yeah,
driver of the day.
I enjoy the track overall. I think it's good. But thank you so much for watching, and I've been Brendon Leigh. Ciao, ciao, bye bye.